You ever felt like some battles in your life go deeper than words, deeper than actions, almost as if something invisible is pulling the strings? When a chosen one crosses paths with a narcissist, it isn't just an argument or a toxic relationship. It's a spiritual war, a battle written in the unseen, where light collides with darkness and truth exposes lies. What really happens in that hidden realm? Why do narcissists break spiritually when they encounter the strength of a true chosen one? And most of all, what role does God play in this mysterious fight? Stay with me until the very end, because what you're about to hear will not only open your eyes, it may finally give you the clarity and freedom you've been searching for. And if this message speaks to your spirit, don't just watch quietly. Share your thoughts in the comments below, or hit subscribe so you never miss a revelation meant for you. The hidden war between a chosen one and a narcissist does not start with shouting, arguments, or even obvious conflict. It begins quietly, almost invisibly in the unseen realm. On the surface, it may look like an ordinary relationship, a friendship, a workplace connection, or even a family bond. But beneath the surface, something much deeper is unfolding. The chosen one carries light, a divine energy that cannot be imitated, a truth that naturally disrupts falsehood. The narcissist, on the other hand, operates through shadows, control, manipulation, and deception, tools designed to mask their emptiness and feed their fragile ego. When these two forces collide, it is not just personality against personality. It is light against darkness, authenticity against illusion, spirit against spirit. The narcissist often feels this clash before the chosen one even realizes it, because darkness instantly recognizes light. That recognition breeds fear, resentment, and the urge to dominate or destroy what cannot be controlled. To the outside world, it may appear as tension or drama, but in reality, it is a spiritual clash happening behind the veil, where unseen forces are stirred into action. Angels stand guard over the chosen one, while demonic whispers fuel the narcissist's pride and cruelty. Every word, every silence, every look exchanged carries spiritual weight in this war. And what makes it hidden is that most people will never see the real cause of the conflict. They will only see the surface. They will see the narcissist's charm or their victim act, but they will not notice the draining energy, the heavy atmosphere, or the spiritual pressure that surrounds the chosen one in those moments. Yet for the chosen one, the battle becomes clear over time. They sense the shift in energy. They feel the heaviness that follows every interaction. They recognize how their peace is being pulled into chaos. It is not just emotional. It is spiritual. This is why many chosen ones feel isolated or misunderstood when trying to explain their experiences. They are not only dealing with a person, they are confronting a spirit that works through that person. The hidden war is about more than survival. It is about awakening. Because once a chosen one realizes the true nature of the battle, they stop trying to fight with words or prove themselves with actions. They turn inward, leaning on the strength of their spirit and the covering of God. This shift changes everything. The narcissist, who thrives on reaction and control, find themselves powerless against silence, prayer, and spiritual resilience. The hidden war exposes itself in moments when narcissists' mask slips, when their rage can no longer hide behind charm, and when the chosen one's quiet strength shines brighter than their attacks. It is in these moments that the spiritual nature of the conflict becomes undeniable. And this is only the beginning, the opening chapter of a battle not written in human history, but written in spirit, where the outcome is already sealed. Light will always overcome darkness. Narcissists are not just annoyed by chosen ones. They are triggered to their very core. The reason is simple yet deeply spiritual. The light of the chosen one exposes the darkness that the narcissist has worked so hard to hide. For years, Narcissists build masks to cover their emptiness. They present themselves as powerful, charming, successful, or even caring. But behind the mask lies insecurity, shame, and a desperate hunger for control. When they encounter an ordinary person, this mask usually works. They can manipulate, deceive, and drain without much resistance. But when they meet a chosen one, something different happens. The presence of the chosen one is like a mirror. Without even trying, the chosen one reflects truth back at the narcissist, revealing the cracks in their illusion. Their calmness highlights the narcissist's chaos. Their honesty exposes the narcissist's lies. Their inner peace makes the narcissist's emptiness impossible to ignore. This is why the narcissist feels both drawn to and repelled by the chosen one. At first, they may be attracted to their light, fascinated by their energy, wanting to feed off it. But soon that same light begins to irritate and even torment them. It shines too brightly, showing the narcissist everything they do not want to face. The lack of authenticity, their spiritual weakness, their dependency on control. This exposure is unbearable, so the narcissist responds in the only way they know how, with attacks, manipulation, and attempts to dim the chosen one's light. But here's the deeper truth. What triggers them is not just personality differences, but the spirit within. Darkness always reacts violently to light. The narcissist spirit is unsettled because the chosen one carries a divine presence that cannot be controlled or destroyed. Even when the chosen one is silent, their very being convicts the narcissist. It reminds them of everything they are not, everything they cannot be, and everything they are trying to escape. And because they cannot face their own darkness, they project it outward, blaming, criticizing, and attempting to break the chosen one. What they don't realize is that their very reaction is proof of the chosen one's power. The trigger is not weakness. It is confirmation that the light is doing its work. This is why so many chosen ones are attacked without reason, misunderstood without cause, and resisted without explanation. It's not about what they did. It's about who they are. Narcissists cannot stand to be around someone who exposes what they have hidden in the dark for so long. The truth is this. The chosen one does not even have to fight for this to happen. Their presence is enough. Their light speaks louder than words, and that light is exactly what breaks the illusions of the narcissist. While the conflict between a chosen one and a narcissist may appear to be an ordinary clash of personalities, there's far more happening than the human eye can perceive. Behind every word spoken and every action taken, unseen forces are at work. Angels and demons move like silent currents beneath the surface, unseen but undeniably present. The chosen one, though often unaware of the full scope, carries a divine seal of protection, spiritual armor placed upon them by God long before the battle began. Around them, angels stand watch, intercepting attacks that never even reach the physical realm. These are not the delicate images from paintings. They are warriors of light, mighty and fierce, positioned to guard the soul of the one chosen for a higher calling. On the other side, the narcissist is not simply acting from their own will. They are often driven by influences they do not understand, energies that thrive on deception, manipulation, and destruction. These dark forces whisper to the narcissist, feeding their pride, amplifying their rage, and strengthening their illusions. They draw power from chaos, and the chosen one's presence disrupts their supply. This is why the narcissist's behavior often seems exaggerated or strangely timed. Their attacks escalate at moments of breakthrough for the chosen one, or their moods shift abruptly when the chosen one prays or stands firm. These patterns are not coincidences. They are signs of spiritual forces colliding. Even the laws of the spiritual realm begin to activate in these encounters. When a chosen one walks in truth, Spiritual law demands that lies cannot stand in their presence forever. Masks will slip, false narratives will crumble, hidden intentions will surface. And though the narcissist may try every tactic to maintain control, they are fighting against something far greater than themselves, divine order. In the unseen realm, their influence begins to weaken as the chosen one grows in awareness and strength. Sometimes the chosen one will feel this battle before they understand it. An unexplained heaviness in a room, a draining sensation after an interaction, sudden confusion, or emotional turmoil that doesn't belong to them. These are echoes of the spiritual clash taking place around them. But they are not alone. Even in the darkest moments, there are forces of light encircling them, whispering truth, restoring peace, and breaking chains that would have otherwise bound them. Understanding this reality changes everything. It reminds the chosen one that their struggle is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of their calling. It reveals that every pushback from a narcissist is, in fact, evidence of the power they carry. And most of all, it assures them that the unseen war is already decided. Light always overcomes darkness. Truth always outlasts deception. The angels assigned to protect them do not falter, and spiritual laws cannot be bent by human pride. What looks like a simple conflict is actually a battlefield of eternity, and the chosen one stands on the side that has already won. What truly breaks a narcissist is not rejection, not being exposed publicly, and not even losing control in the physical world. It is when their carefully built illusions collapse under the weight of truth and light. Narcissists live their lives behind masks, creating false identities to hide the emptiness they carry inside. They thrive on the belief that no one can see through their deception, that their charm, manipulation, and crafted image will always shield them from being truly known. But when a chosen one steps into their life, that illusion begins to crumble. The chosen one does not even need to fight aggressively. Their very presence carries truth that penetrates lies. Their light makes the narcissist's shadow impossible to ignore. Suddenly, the narcissist's tactics that once worked on others no longer bring the same results. Their manipulation is met with silence instead of compliance. Their gaslighting fails because the chosen one refuses to doubt their own reality. Their attempts to provoke anger or fear fall flat against an inner strength they cannot touch. This resistance shakes them to their core because their entire identity depends on control. Spiritually, this is where the breaking begins. When the narcissist realizes they cannot dominate, they cannot bend the truth, and they cannot dim the light, something inside of them collapses. It is the moment when their spirit, built on lies, faces the undeniable force of truth. And while they may lash out with rage, smear campaigns, or desperate attempts to regain control, those are merely the final cries of a crumbling foundation. In the unseen realm, the collapse is much clearer. Demonic influences that once empowered their manipulation begin to lose ground, because light has entered the battlefield. The narcissist feels this spiritually as an emptiness they cannot fill, a gnawing restlessness that grows no matter how much attention, control, or admiration they demand. What once fed them now feels shallow and unsatisfying, because the truth has already pierced the illusion. This is why some narcissists spiral into more desperate behavior when faced with chosen one. They are fighting against an inevitable unraveling. The breaking point comes when they are forced to face themselves, stripped of their masks, unable to silence the truth any longer. And while this moment is painful for them, it is also divine justice. For too long, they have survived by deceiving others, by hiding in shadows, by creating pain to feel powerful. But the spiritual law is clear. Lies cannot stand forever in the presence of truth. What breaks them is not the chosen one's anger or revenge, but the chosen one's resilience. their refusal to be destroyed, and their quiet strength rooted in God's light. That light becomes a mirror, reflecting the narcissist's emptiness back at them until they can no longer escape it. And in that moment of collapse, the narcissist is confronted with the reality they have avoided all their life, that no mask, no lie, and no manipulation can survive against divine truth. Narcissists survive on a kind of spiritual fuel. Control, attention, admiration, and even conflict act like food for their ego. They draw energy from others the way a parasite draws life from a host, feeding off emotions, reactions, and vulnerability. As long as the flow continues, their mask stays intact, their power feels real, and their illusions hold firm. But something profound happens when a chosen one begins to see the truth. Slowly, they stop reacting. They stop explaining themselves. They stop pouring out their empathy to someone who only uses it as a weapon. This is the energy shift, the invisible turning point in the battle. At first, it looks like nothing on the surface. The chosen one may simply become quieter, more centered, more careful with their time. But in the spiritual realm, a seismic change has occurred. The narcissist's supply has been cut off. What once nourished them now feels like a closed door. Their control tactics lose their power. Their attempts at guilt, manipulation, or rage no longer pull the same strings. And because they're no longer receiving the emotional energy they depend on, they begin to starve spiritually. This starvation shows up as desperation. They may lash out harder, shift tactics, or suddenly try to appear loving and humble. But all of it is an attempt to regain the flow of energy they have lost. For the chosen one, this shift is not about revenge or punishment. It is about reclaiming their spirit. They recognize that their peace, their joy, and their focus are sacred and cannot be endlessly drained. By withdrawing their energy, they are not abandoning compassion. They are refusing to feed darkness with their light. Spiritually, this is one of the most powerful weapons the chosen one possesses. Silence becomes a shield. Boundaries become a sword. Prayer becomes an atmosphere that the narcissist cannot breathe in. As the narcissist weakens, the chosen one grows stronger, calmer, and more grounded. They begin to feel their own energy returning, their clarity sharpening, their connection to God deepening. This is not just emotional recovery. It is spiritual realignment. And in this state, the narcissist's hooks can no longer attach. The drama cannot stick. The manipulation falls flat. What the narcissist is experiencing is not simply rejection. It is spiritual starvation. Without control and attention, their ego loses oxygen. Without the chosen one's light to feed off, their darkness grows heavier and more unbearable. This is why many narcissists either retreat, rage, or seek a new source when a chosen one withdraws. The energy shift is the silent victory of the chosen one. It marks the moment when the power dynamic flips, not by force, but by spirit. Darkness cannot feed on light that is protected, and no narcissist can thrive where their supply has been cut off. In the unseen realm, this is when freedom truly begins. When a chosen one finds themselves entangled with a narcissist, it is easy to feel abandoned by God. The constant attacks, the confusion, the draining cycles of manipulation, and the pain of betrayal can make it seem as if heaven has gone silent. Many chosen ones cry out in those moments, asking, "Why me? Why would God let me endure this kind of suffering?" Yet the deeper truth is that God's hand has never left their life, not for one moment. These battles are not signs of abandonment. They are divine assignments meant to awaken, to strengthen, and to reveal a power within the chosen one that could never have been discovered in comfort. God does not allow the narcissist to cross the path of a chosen one to destroy them, but to bring them into a higher level of awareness and authority. It is in these struggles that illusions are shattered, hidden strengths are revealed, and the chosen one learns the kind of wisdom that cannot be taught in books or sermons. It can only be lived. God's role in these battles is layered and mysterious, but it always serves a purpose rooted in love. First, he allows the narcissist to expose themselves. In the beginning, the narcissist often looks powerful, charming, even untouchable. But as the chosen one grows in discernment, the mask begins to slip. God orchestrates this unveiling slowly, showing his child the truth one piece at a time. Because revelation comes with responsibility. By the time the chosen one sees the full darkness behind the mask, they are also prepared with the spiritual tools to resist it. This is divine timing at work, not a delay, not abandonment, but careful preparation for victory. Second, God uses these battles to strengthen what is weak. Narcissists often target the deepest insecurities of a chosen one. They poke at wounds, exploit fears, and attack areas of vulnerability. At first, this feels cruel and unbearable, but with each attack, the chosen one learns to close the gaps, to heal the wounds, and to protect what once was fragile. God allows these painful lessons because he knows that the chosen one's destiny requires resilience. They cannot step fully into their calling if they remain easily shaken by manipulation or easily deceived by false appearances. What the narcissist means for destruction, God uses as training. Every insult becomes a lesson in self-worth. Every betrayal becomes a lesson in discernment. Every manipulation becomes a lesson in strength. By the time the chosen one emerges from the battle, they are no longer the same person. They are wiser, sharper, stronger, and deeply anchored in God's truth. Third, God allows these battles to expose the spiritual reality of the world. Too often, people believe life is only what they see, touch, and feel. But when a chosen one faces a narcissist, they begin to sense the invisible, the heaviness of darkness, the pull of manipulation, the way energy shifts in a room, the way peace leaves when certain words are spoken. This heightened awareness is not paranoia. It is spiritual discernment awakening. God allows his chosen ones to see through the veil because they are called to walk in the Spirit, not just in the flesh. They are called to understand the real war, that it is not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers, and spiritual forces of evil. The narcissist becomes an unwilling teacher in this revelation, showing the chosen one that behind every mask of cruelty or charm, there are deeper forces at work. But perhaps the most comforting role of God in this battle is justice. For too long, chosen ones often believe that the narcissist got away with it, that their lies were believed, their manipulations were successful, and their cruelty went unseen. But God sees everything. Nothing escapes his gaze. The narcissist may fool others, but they cannot fool the one who sees the heart. Scripture reminds us that vengeance belongs to God, and he repays in his own time. This does not always mean public humiliation or sudden downfall. It often means something more profound. God allows the narcissist's own emptiness to consume them. He allows the very lies they spread to circle back. He allows the false power they cling to crumble beneath their feet. This is divine justice, not quick and flashy, but precise and unshakable. And while this unfolds, the chosen one is lifted into a place of peace, favor, and restoration. God's role is also deeply personal. During these battles, many chosen ones report feeling a new intimacy with God. The nights of crying out become nights of revelation. The moments of despair become moments of prayer. The loneliness becomes the very space where God whispers truths that heal the soul. Without the narcissist's attack, the chosen one might never have sought God so desperately. Without the pressure, they might never have discovered his presence so deeply. God uses the battle to draw his children closer, not push them away. In this way, the pain becomes holy ground, the very place where divine encounter takes root. In the end, God's role in the battle between chosen one and narcissist is never about destruction. It is always about awakening, growth, and justice. The narcissist may believe they are in control, but they are only a tool in the larger story God is writing. Every wound will become wisdom. Every tear will water the soil of transformation. Every attack will forge a deeper strength. And when the dust settles, it will be clear. The chosen one was never alone, never forsaken, never abandoned. They were being prepared. They were being refined. They were being shaped into someone who can carry light into a world full of darkness. The narcissist's cruelty becomes the furnace, but God becomes the fire that purifies, not destroys. So if you are in this battle, know this truth. You are not here to be broken. You are here to be built. You are not here to lose. You are here to awaken. And the God who allowed the battle is the same God who has already written your victory. Darkness may rage, but it cannot last. Lies may spread, but they cannot stand. Manipulation may rise, but it cannot overcome. For God has the final word, and in His word, the chosen one always walks out whole, stronger, and crowned with purpose. In the physical world, the battle between a chosen one and a narcissist may look like quiet tension, emotional chaos, or a series of painful confrontations. But in the spiritual realm, an entirely different scene is unfolding, one so vivid and powerful that if human eyes could see it, they would never doubt again that this war is real. Imagine a dimly lit stage hidden behind a curtain. For years, the narcissist moves freely across it, cloaked in masks of charm, manipulation, and false strength. Around them, chains of deception bind not only the people they control, but their own spirit, even though they pretend to be free. Darkness swirls like smoke, feeding their ego and clouding their vision. This is the unseen reality that sustains their power. Yet when a chosen one walks onto that same stage, something shifts immediately. Their presence carries a light that does not flicker, a light born of truth, resilience, and divine covering. At first, the narcissist seems unaffected, even more determined to dominate. But the light begins to spread, quietly, relentlessly, like dawn creeping across the horizon. It reaches the corners of the stage, exposing the hidden chains, revealing the shadows for what they are. In that light, the masks the narcissist wears start to crack. The spiritual realm responds as though a signal has been given. Angels step forward, tall, radiant, fierce, stationed around the chosen one. They do not speak with words, but their presence is unmistakable. They are guardians of light, intercepting every dart of darkness aimed at the chosen one's soul. In the shadows, the forces that once whispered to the narcissist grow restless. Their power weakens because darkness cannot thrive and reveal truth. Chains that once seemed unbreakable begin to tremble. The illusions the narcissist crafted, so carefully maintained, begin to crumble under the weight of exposure. Lies lose their grip. False narratives unravel. The narcissist's spirit feels this as panic, anger, or confusion, but in the unseen realm it looks like cracks spreading across a wall of glass. And then it happens, the moment of revelation. In the spiritual realm, masks fall like shattered porcelain, one after another. The narcissist's false self, which once looked so untouchable, stands naked and trembling in the light. The charm that once captivated now looks hollow. The power that once intimidated now appears brittle. Even their voice, once commanding, echoes like an empty shell. This is not humiliation for entertainment. It is divine exposure, the fulfillment of a spiritual law that says, nothing hidden will remain hidden forever. The narcissist's spirit, built on deception, begins to collapse inward because truth has entered the room. Their attempts to strike back only weaken them further, like shadows shrinking under the midday sun. For the chosen one, this moment is both terrifying and liberating. Though their physical eyes may not see angels, chains, or masks, their spirit senses the shift. The heaviness that once clung to them starts to lift. The confusion that once clouded their mind begins to clear. Peace flows in like fresh air after storm. They realize they're not fighting alone. They never were. What they thought was their weakness, silence, prayer, resilience, was actually the weapon God used to break the unseen hold. In that light, unseen chains snap with an almost audible sound. Patterns of manipulation lose their pull. Old wounds begin to close. The narcissist's tactics no longer pierce as they once did because the spiritual hooks have been dislodged. The imagery of this moment is powerful. Imagine a dark room where someone has been bound for years, and suddenly a flood of light pours in through a broken roof. Shackles fall from their wrists. Dust rises from the floor as they stand up, free. In the same room, the one who held them captive recoils, covering their face, because the light reveals their own chains. That is what happens in the spiritual realm when God reveals truth. The narcissist, who once believed they were the captor, finds themselves bound by the very darkness they used to enslave others. The chosen one, who once believed they were the victim, stands crowned in freedom. This reversal is not poetic imagination. It is the outworking of divine justice. As the light grows stronger, the narcissist's spirit feels the hunger of starvation. Without deception to feed on, without control to sustain them, the darkness inside begins to consume itself. Some may flee, others may lash out desperately, but all are confronted with a truth they cannot escape. In the unseen realm, this looks like shadows scattering, demonic chains falling away, and the false power dissolving like smoke in the wind. For the chosen one, it looks like restoration, clarity, and a renewed sense of self. Their spirit rises, strengthened by the very battle meant to destroy them. Their voice gains authority. Their eyes see sharper. Their heart beats steadier. They are no longer just surviving the narcissist. They are witnessing the spiritual shift that breaks generational cycles and unseen strongholds. This is why the spiritual realm matters. It is not fantasy or metaphor. It is reality. Every argument, every silent prayer, every sleepless night, and every act of faith has a parallel action in that unseen world. The battle was never just emotional. It was always spiritual. And in the end, the spiritual realm reveals what was true all along. The narcissist's power was an illusion, and the chosen one's light was indestructible. As the false masks fall and the chains break, the chosen one does not simply walk away. They walk out transformed, carrying a new authority and a deeper intimacy with God. The narcissist may remain in denial or crumble completely, but the spiritual verdict has already been rendered. Darkness has been exposed. Light has prevailed. So when you cannot see anything changing with your physical eyes, remember this scene in the spiritual realm. Picture the angels at your side. Picture the chains falling. Picture the masks breaking. And know that even if the narcissist still looks strong on the outside, their spirit is already trembling in the light. This is not the end of your story. It is the unveiling of truth. The spiritual realm does not lie. And once revealed, nothing can ever go back to the way it was. The chosen one rises, the narcissist's false power collapses, and divine justice quietly takes its place. This is the unseen reality, vivid, unshakable, and more real than anything we can touch. Every battle between a chosen one and a narcissist may feel, in the moment, like pure destruction. The exhaustion, the confusion, the tears, the doubts, all of it seems unbearable. Yet, what looks like breaking is actually remaking. What feels like loss is often the chiseling away of everything that does not belong to their higher calling. In the quiet aftermath of conflict, when the noise of manipulation has finally faded, something extraordinary takes place within the chosen one. They discover that while the narcissist tried to strip them of identity, dignity, and peace, God was using the very same battle to restore what had been buried and to awaken what had been asleep. Each wound becomes a doorway to deeper wisdom. Each betrayal sharpens their discernment. Each attempt to silence them only teaches them the value of their voice. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the chosen one is transformed, not into someone weaker, but into someone untouchable by the same chains that once bound them. Think of a sword in a fire. The heat is merciless, the hammer relentless, the shaping painful. But what emerges is not a broken blade. It is stronger, sharper, and more enduring than before. That is what happens to the chosen one through these spiritual battles. The narcissist's cruelty becomes the fire, their manipulation the hammer, and there lies the forge. At the time, the chosen one may not see the purpose behind their suffering, but in hindsight, they realize the transformation was necessary. They emerge with a resilience that no flattery can weaken, no insult can crush, and no illusion can deceive. They are no longer vulnerable to the same traps, because they now recognize them for what they are. Their spirit, once shaken, now stands anchored in truth, and their mind, once clouded by confusion, begins to see with divine clarity. The transformation also births empathy of a different kind, not the naive empathy that once excused abuse, but a refined compassion rooted in discernment. The chosen one learns to love without losing themselves, to forgive without returning to chains, and to serve without being exploited. They begin to understand their own worth not through the eyes of others, but through the eyes of God, who never abandoned them even in the darkest hours. This inner shift radiates outward. Their presence changes. Where they once carried wounds, they now carry wisdom. Where they once trembled, they now stand with quiet authority. People around them begin to notice the difference, some drawn to the light, others repelled because the light exposes what they would rather keep hidden. The chosen one's transformation is not just about survival, it is about alignment. Every battle draws them closer to their divine purpose. They start recognizing patterns in their life, realizing that their pain was not random but preparation. The very qualities the narcissist tried to destroy, kindness, faith, integrity, vision, are the same qualities God strengthens within them to fulfill their calling. The isolation they endured becomes sacred training. The silence they sat in becomes a classroom for divine wisdom. The rejection they faced becomes a redirection toward the people and places meant for them. By the time the storm settles, the chosen one no longer resembles the person they were when it began. They carry a new identity, sharper, deeper, and more aligned with the destiny written over their life. Transformation also shows itself in the chosen one's ability to let go. Where once they clung to toxic connections, desperate for validation, they now release them without hesitation. Not because they have grown cold, but because they have grown wise. They recognize that their energy is sacred and their spirit is not to be entangled with darkness. What used to drain them no longer holds power. What used to confuse them no longer has sway. In practical life, this may look like new boundaries, a quieter confidence, or even a complete change of environment. But spiritually, it looks like elevation, rising above the very snares designed to trap them. Most profound of all, the chosen one learns to trust God at a deeper level. The battle teaches them that human strength alone is not enough, but divine strength never fails. When they remember the nights they thought they would not survive, and realize they are still standing, their faith grows unshakable. They begin to walk with a confidence not rooted in ego, but in knowing who walks beside them. Their prayers carry weight. Their words carry authority. Their presence carries light. They understand now why the enemy fought them so hard, because of the destiny they carry, a destiny too powerful for darkness to ignore. And so, each battle is not wasted. Each scar becomes part of their crown. Each tear waters the soil for new growth. Transformation for the chosen one is not just about escaping the narcissist's grip. It is about becoming the person God intended all along. They rise from the ashes, not bitter but wiser, not broken but stronger, not lost but aligned. Their story becomes a testimony. Their pain becomes a ministry, and their life becomes a beacon for others still trapped in the shadows. In the end, the narcissist's greatest attempt to destroy the chosen one becomes the very tool God uses to elevate them. What the enemy meant for harm turns into divine preparation, and the chosen one walks forward, stronger, wiser, and unshakably aligned with their divine purpose. That is the power of transformation. That is the hidden victory written into every battle. From the beginning, the battle between a chosen one and a narcissist has never truly been about what is seen. On the surface, it may appear as an argument, a betrayal, or a painful cycle of control and escape. But in truth, these moments are only the shadows of something far deeper. The real war is not fought in raised voices or broken promises. It is written in spirit. It takes place in the unseen, where light and darkness stand face to face. The narcissist operates in deception, feeding on illusions, using fear and manipulation as their weapons. Yet the chosen one, though often unaware of their own strength at first, carries something far greater, an eternal light that cannot be extinguished. This is why the conflict feels so consuming, because it is not merely personal, it is spiritual. In that unseen realm, every encounter holds weight. When the narcissist spins lies, chains form in the spirit. But when the chosen one speaks truth, those chains begin to snap. When the narcissist seeks to drain energy and sow confusion, angels of God step in to strengthen and guard. What feels like weakness in the chosen one's heart is often the moment heaven itself is intervening, covering them with divine power. The narcissist believes they are in control, yet spiritually they tremble, for even they sense that their shadow cannot survive the radiance of truth. And so the battle rages, not of flesh and blood, but of light against darkness, truth against deception, freedom against bondage. The chosen one's endurance becomes the very weapon that dismantles the narcissist's illusions. Each refusal to break, each moment of silence instead of retaliation, each prayer whispered in the night, it all echoes in the spiritual realm like thunder. Demonic forces lose their grip, strongholds weaken, and the very lies that once controlled begin to collapse. To the human eye, the chosen one may look tired, even defeated, but in spirit, they are winning ground. Their light stretches wider, pushing back the shadows, leaving the narcissist exposed and vulnerable. This is why the narcissist grows frantic, why their attacks intensify. They are not just fighting for control of a person. They are fighting against the light that unmasks them. And here lies the eternal truth. Light cannot be destroyed by darkness. Darkness exists only in the absence of light. And when the chosen one stands firm in their divine identity, darkness loses all power. It may roar, it may threaten, it may attempt to deceive, but it cannot overcome. The chosen one prevails, not because of their own strength alone, but because they are backed by the very source of light itself. Their victories are written before the battle even begins, etched into the fabric of divine law that promises truth will always outlast lies, and love will always outshine fear. The war is not without scars, but those scars become marks of transformation, proof that they walked through fire and emerged refined. The narcissist may cling to shadows, But the chosen one walks away carrying the wisdom of the storm and the glow of survival. In spirit, they rise higher than before, aligned with their purpose, untouchable by the very tactics that once threatened to destroy them. The narcissist is left in their crumbling illusions, while the chosen one stands in victory. Not the loud, boastful kind, but the quiet, unshakable kind that radiates peace. So when you feel the weight of the battle, remember this. It is not flesh against flesh, but spirit against spirit. And in that realm, the outcome is already decided. The chosen one will prevail. Their light will endure. Their purpose will unfold. And no amount of darkness can ever put out the flame God placed within them. This is the hidden victory, the unseen war written in spirit, where light always wins. At first glance, the narcissist seems powerful, confident, and untouchable. They move through the physical world wearing a carefully crafted mask, one that hides their true condition. This mask is polished with charm, flattery, and false confidence. They know exactly how to say the right words, how to present the right image, and how to lure others into their web. On the outside, they appear strong, admired, and in control. But beneath that polished exterior lies a fragile and broken spirit, a weakness they fight desperately to keep hidden. The mask is not just for others, it is also for themselves, a disguise they wear to cover the emptiness they fear will one day be exposed. In the physical realm, their tactics are subtle but powerful. They use manipulation like a sculptor uses clay, shaping reality to suit their desires. They twist words, rewriting history to paint themselves as the victim and their target as the one to blame. They create confusion, using gaslighting to make others doubt their own memory and judgment. They thrive on control, pulling invisible strings that force people to dance to their rhythm without realizing it. When charm is needed, they shine brilliantly, smiling, complimenting, offering support, only to switch in an instant to criticism, coldness, or rage when their control is threatened. This back-and-forth cycle creates a dizzying effect, keeping their target off balance and easier to dominate. To outsiders, the narcissist's charm can be magnetic. They often appear intelligent, persuasive, even generous. But this is part of the mask. Their generosity usually comes with strings attached, their intelligence used for manipulation, their persuasion designed to deceive. They are masters at reading people, finding their weaknesses, and exploiting them with precision. They know how to make you feel special, only to withdraw that attention and leave you desperate to earn it back. This cycle keeps people hooked, mistaking the narcissist's approval for love. In truth, it is not love they give, but control disguised as affection. What most people do not realize is that this mask is necessary because spiritually, the narcissist is weak. Behind the false confidence lies deep insecurity. Behind the charm lies fear. Behind the control lies emptiness. They cannot survive without draining others of energy, attention, and admiration, because their own spirit lacks true strength. Like a parasite, they attach themselves to the light of others, feeding off what they cannot generate within themselves. The mask also serves as protection for the narcissist, because deep down, they fear exposure. They fear that others will see their lies, their manipulation, and their emptiness. They know that if the mask slips, people will recognize them for who they really are, and so they guard it fiercely, switching faces depending on who is watching. To one person, they are the caring friend. To another, the loving partner. To yet another, the victim who needs sympathy. This constant shifting of masks is exhausting, but they prefer exhaustion over vulnerability. Vulnerability, to them, feels like death. But here's the truth. The mask cannot last forever. In the physical realm, it may deceive many, but in the spiritual realm, the mask is already cracked. Light always exposes what darkness tries to hide. And when the chosen one enters the picture, the mask begins to break faster. The chosen one's light does not fall for illusions. Their spirit senses what words and actions try to conceal. This spiritual discernment creates cracks in the mask that even the narcissist cannot repair. And once the mask begins to crumble, the narcissist's true weakness is revealed, not strength, but fragility, not confidence, but fear, not control, but desperation. The tragedy is that the narcissist believes their mask is the only way to survive, when in reality it is the very thing destroying them. By refusing to face their wounds, by covering their emptiness with lies, they separate themselves further from healing and truth. Spiritually, their mask keeps them chained to darkness, and the longer they wear it, the heavier it becomes. The chosen one's presence, however, accelerates the collapse. By refusing to be deceived, by standing in truth, the chosen one shines a light that no mask can withstand. So while the world may see the narcissist as charming, successful, or even admirable, those with spiritual eyes see something different. They see the cracks. They see the exhaustion behind a performance. They see the weakness hidden beneath layers of control. And most of all, they see the spiritual truth. The mask of the narcissist is nothing more than a fragile disguise. It may fool many in the physical realm, but in the spiritual realm, it has already been torn apart by the power of light. And this is the empowering reality. No matter how strong the mask may appear, it cannot stand forever. Deception always crumbles before truth. Control always collapses before freedom. Darkness always retreats before light. The narcissist's mask may intimidate for a season, but the chosen one's endurance guarantees its downfall. Because in the end, masks break, illusions fall, and only truth remains. When a chosen one steps into a battle with a narcissist, it may appear, on the surface, that they are vulnerable. They may seem outnumbered, outmaneuvered, or even emotionally exhausted. But what the human eye cannot see is the unseen covering that surrounds them, an armor not forged from steel or stone, but from faith, resilience, and divine protection. This spiritual armor is what keeps them standing when everything else around them is shaking. It is why their spirit survives the storms meant to crush them. And it is the one thing the narcissist, for all their manipulation and control, can never penetrate. The first layer of this armor is faith. Faith is not simply belief. It is a living force, a shield built on trust in something greater than oneself. The chosen one's faith acts like an invisible barrier that absorbs the blows of deception and turns them into opportunities for wisdom. Every time the narcissist tries to plant doubt, faith answers with certainty. Every time manipulation whispers lies, faith speaks truth louder. This is why the narcissist's tactics often backfire with chosen ones, because they are not only relying on their own strength, but on the power of something eternal. Faith keeps their heart anchored when confusion swirls. It tells them, this is not the end, even when everything looks like loss. And that quiet knowing weakens every attempt to control them. The second layer is resilience. Resilience is the steel beneath the shield. It is forged in hardship, strengthened with every trial. Unlike the narcissist, who feeds on control and collapses without it, the chosen one grows stronger under pressure. Their resilience is born from experience, moments of pain turned into lessons, betrayals turned into discernment, and losses turned into growth. This resilience acts like a shock absorber in the spiritual realm. Every insult, every act of sabotage, every attempt to drain them of energy may bruise, but it does not break. Over time, resilience creates a kind of spiritual immunity. The very tactics that once wounded them lose their power. The narcissist throws the same darts, but they fall harmlessly to the ground because the chosen one's armor has thickened. The third layer is divine protection. the unseen presence of God's guardianship. This is more than just faith or inner strength. It is an active covering. In the spiritual realm, it looks like light surrounding the chosen one, angels stationed at their side, and a hedge that blocks unseen attacks. The narcissist may still try to harm them, but their reach is limited. Even when the chosen one walks through dark valleys, they are never truly alone. This protection does not always remove the battle, but it ensures the battle does not consume them. It closes doors meant to destroy them, exposes lies at the right time, and redirects their path towards safety and growth. Many chosen ones can look back on their lives and see moments where something should have broken them, but didn't. That is divine protection at work. This spiritual armor also functions inwardly. It shields the chosen one's mind from internalizing the narcissist's projections. Instead of accepting accusations as truth, the chosen one begins to see them for what they are, reflections of the narcissist's own wounds. This mental clarity is like a helmet, guarding their thoughts. It allows them to stay rooted in their identity, even when gaslighting and manipulation try to rewrite it. Their heart is also shielded. While it still feels pain, it is not corrupted by bitterness. They learn to forgive without forgetting, to release without returning, and to love without being enslaved. In the spiritual realm, this looks like a heart glowing inside the armor. Hurt, yes, but still beating with light. Perhaps most powerfully, this armor grants the chosen one a weapon of their own truth. Truth is like a sword that cuts through illusions. Every time they choose honesty over manipulation, clarity over confusion, and integrity over compromise, they strike at the heart of the narcissist's power. Darkness cannot survive where truth is spoken.